Here's the truth. You are meant to live your epic, most amazing dream life. Everything you've ever dreamed of is meant for you. You've just forgotten that you have this superpower. I want to help you remember that you can manifest. Are you ready to dive back in? Let's do it.
What would your life be like if you were finally able to unlock the key to manifesting the life of your dreams? If you're ready to transform your life by mastering the art of manifestation, then stay tuned. The Manifestation Society show with Allison Carver is just for you.
Welcome to the Manifestation Society with Allison Carver, where we spotlight the most brilliant female powerhouses and their amazing manifestation stories. I'm your host, Allison Carver. This show is meant to inspire you. It's meant to get you so excited and to know that you also can manifest. You can do this in your everyday life. And I'm here to show you that you can do this with ease. And the guests that I have lined up for you, they are going to totally get you so excited. I can't wait to share this with you. Before I introduce today's guest, let me share with you the affirmation of the day. Today, I am living my best life. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say this to yourself. Today, I am living my best life. When it comes to manifesting, you have this ability to live your best life every single day. You just have to be intentional and manifest on purpose. Stay until the very end for a very special surprise giveaway. Today's guest is Rachel Thomas, author and podcast host. Rachel Thomas spent 15 years hustling in the corporate world as a successful apparel designer for brands like Disney, the Dallas Cowboys, all while balancing her career, her marriage, and motherhood of 3. Rachel has now added author, podcast host, corporate speaker, and even Reiki practitioner to her resume. Hi, Rachel. Welcome. Welcome to the show. We are so excited that you are here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, I am just excited to be one of your brilliant powerhouse women. I mean, come on.
Well, we couldn't have a show and not include you. I mean, just reading that bio is so incredible. And how aligned is it that you used manifestation in that way to get yourself ready to go and to get your dream life going? That's just what we were just talking about.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. It's a journey for sure, but when you look back on it, it really does put everything in perspective.
Well, okay, so let's just dive right into it, shall we? I really want to hear, what is your manifestation journey? Give us your most inspiring manifestation story and all the details.
Okay. So I guess I first kind of discovered manifestation a little bit by accident. I was on maternity leave with my third and youngest daughter. And this is so silly. And I think most people, when they think about their journey of manifestation, they want it to be something super glamorous and I manifested $1 million. And that just really wasn't my particular journey. I actually learned about manifestation through a neighbor of mine. When we lived in Texas before, I do live in Kansas City now, but when we lived in Texas, we lived in a house that in the backyard, the previous owners had this above ground pool. And so it was obviously gone by the time we moved in, but it had created this very unsightly divot in our backyard. And my husband is, he holds his backyard and landscaping very close to his heart. And so this is always just kind of a bane of his existence. And it's funny because I remember Googling the cost of dirt. Who knew that dirt costs money, right? And so it just never seemed like something that we ever really wanted to invest in. But
certainly seems ridiculous.
Doesn't it? I'm not spending my money on that. I'm so sorry. I'm just not. And we had both kind of decided no, I don't think so. And then, there's a Nextdoor app that's an application on your phone that you can kind of follow all your neighbors. You can all talk amongst yourselves, right? And somebody had put on there, giving away free dirt. And what? They had just done, put in a sidewalk or, in their backyard, some landscaping. Oh, we've got all this leftover dirt and we'll deliver. And I was like, what are these chances, right? Like, isn't
Right.
so
That is, yeah, it's very good timing, I would say, right? Because you were just looking for dirt. It was free. They'll deliver it to you. That's crazy.
exactly. So this husband and wife, they're delivering this dirt, and I'm going through this, the story with a, baby on my hip. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how fortunate that this all kind of aligned. And I remember, I will never forget, she looked me dead in the eye and she was like, you totally manifested this. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that, you know what she means, but I don't know. I think we can all admit that we've seen maybe The Secret, but you never really realize, you don't exactly know how to put it into practice. And when somebody says something like that, instead of being like a blessing or, oh, what a coincidence, like, no, you consciously manifested this. I knew you needed dirt in some way. So I was just answering that energetic request. And I was like, oh my, a little bit like intrigued, a little bit like, okay, and, but really she and I agreed to, like, I was going on walks every morning. She was going on walks every morning. So she was like, if you want, I can tell you a little bit more about it. And I was like, okay, I'm on my maternity leave. I may as well just make the most out of this. And I remember just like jumping in head first, learning as much as I could, reading all the books, right? And really, I went back to work. I was just on maternity leave for a couple of months. And so I went back to my corporate job feeling super empowered, but a little bit embarrassed. Like,
what's that? What embarrassed you?
Well, I think there's a lot of stigma put on this for some reason. This spirituality, it's kind of one of those things. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. And I think my brain had been so ingrained with that, working in the corporate world for 15 years that I thought, oh my gosh, and I could start to see wheels moving. I could start to see things happening in my favor at work.
Wow.
Because of doing these things. And so I was just like, it felt a little bit like I was holding it all to myself, and that felt icky. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You want to share it, right?
Right.
So that was how I learned about it.
Wow.
And I know that seems like such a ridiculous story, but
no, not at all.
No,
not at all. And I'm really glad you shared that story, because I like how you said a lot of people think you need to be manifesting a Mercedes or $1 million, like you said, and it can really start small. Like with dirt. And maybe, I'm laughing, but I bet the universe brought that to you as a way to make it really relatable, right? Like, this is really concrete. This is exactly what she needed in this moment. I'm going to give her this dirt, but I'm also going to give her this amazing little message that you can use manifestation to make your life even better. I think that's brilliant.
100%. But yes, that was, good, bad, or whatever. That was kind of how I learned. And then, I think the greatest thing about manifestation is that it just lights this fire of curiosity, right? Wouldn't you agree that you're like, okay, now I need to learn how to like do this consciously. I know these rules, or maybe I don't, but you just want to like teach yourself more and more and more, and listening to podcasts, doing things like that, trying to really, like you say, tap into it, cognizant of it, that I'm actually creating it. That was when I really started, being more intentional, I'm going to learn about it.
Do you have your own process for manifesting? Like, walk us through what you do to manifest now.
My morning routine, it took a little while to really curate it, I will say. When you first start, it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. You're learning something new. You are, really trying to like jam as much of this into your brain as possible, and finding that time to dedicate to yourself. And so really, after, trying to like really fine tune it. Like, do I have time for this? Do I, should I do 30 minutes here? Do I need to be manifesting all day long? This was something that I really struggled with, honestly.
So Rachel, tell us, like, how are you intentional now in your manifesting? Like, how do you do it now versus when you did it in the very beginning?
I have made it into like, I know this sounds so silly, but I wrote the book on it, right? It had to be one of those things where I'm like, if I am going to do all these things every single day, I need a practice. What do I do first? Oh, I have to start with being gracious, giving thanks for things that I have, right? Okay, next up, oh, I definitely want an affirmation. I love that you had, an affirmation at the beginning, because that's so me. What is going to start my day? But in your head, you're a little bit like, okay, did I meditate? Yeah. Oh, I don't have time for that today. And so it's all of these like things. So I literally had to write a book to help myself. This is my book, The Mind Hustle Journal, a 5-minute mindset to manifest your best. And so really, I created this journal practice for myself, had been utilizing it as a means to create, these amazing things, but more intentionally, not just haphazardly. So I kind of, just to show a little bit, I go through, the date, the significance of that particular day. Hey, thank you for these items, good things that happened to me. But really, I outline it in the beginning of the book of simple ways that you can infiltrate mindfulness, manifestation, and intention setting into your daily life.
What I love about what you shared, and I love that you shared your book, because you really took manifestation, you took the process you learned from your neighbor and you made it your own, right? Like, you took it and you worked it into your life. And that's so important. And I just hope that, I want that message to be taken home, is that you can make this your own. You can take these steps and you can do it however you want, as long as you're being intentional about it. And I love that you did that.
Well, thank you. And I think it's such a personal process. Some people think that there's a rule book that you should be following, but really it's, what lights you up the most, what gets the good vibes flowing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rachel, you got to tell us, what is something humongous and amazing and inspiring that you have manifested? Because I know you've got some good stuff. So tell us.
Yes. So as you mentioned in my bio, I used to work for the Dallas Cowboys, and it was amazing, great. But my parents live in Iowa. My siblings live back here in Kansas City. And so it was really this intention that I set that, okay, we're moving back. But I didn't want to just do this, like, just, sight unseen and just go, right? I wanted to create it. I wanted to manifest it. And so I literally manifested a corporate job in my field. And I'm an apparel designer. So, that's kind of a job that you can't really do from anywhere. At least it wasn't before the pandemic, that is. But I really just got intentional. Like, there is a job that's perfect for me, that's close to my family, that will allow me to move from Dallas, Texas, back to Kansas City, Missouri, and not have to worry about it, not have to worry about the finances. And when I tell you, things just started lining up.
Give us an example. What's an example of, like, when it happened, you were like, oh my God.
Okay, so I decided to update my resume, right? If you want a new job, you got to update your resume. So I did, and I didn't tell anyone. I was actually really scared to tell anyone, because here I was working for this amazing company. This was a chance of a lifetime. Why would you throw this all away? And so I told one friend that I had my very first job with. She's also in the apparel industry. I told her, I'm thinking about moving back to Kansas City. She said, really? That's funny, because I just had a conversation with an old high school, classmate, saying that they were looking to hire a designer. And I was like, what? Like, these opportunities, I kid you not, come around like every few years. They are just very far between, especially in the Midwest. I don't live in New York. I don't live in LA. There are not apparel designer jobs around every corner. And so I was like, okay, I sent my resume. They asked for an interview. And it was like things just happened. I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. Like it was true that and of course, with all of those big changes, these ego thoughts start popping up. Am I doing the right thing? Oh gosh. And it's almost as if I felt myself kind of pull back a little bit, start to doubt myself.
Okay, tell us about that. Because I think that's important to note that manifesting is a process, right? Like there are going to be ups and downs. It's not all going to be rainbows, right? But tell us a little bit about the ups and the downs.
Yes. So when I went on this interview back in Kansas City, it went really well. It was clear that things would, inevitably happen at some point. They said, hey, we're probably going to take a few months to make this decision, based on a couple of different things that were going to be happening in their company. I said, okay, that's totally fine. Over the course of those 3 months, I allowed myself to kind of talk myself out of it. Am I really worth all of this? You know what I mean? I gave them a salary that at first I believed I was worthy of. And then I thought, oh no, well, what if they interviewed someone else who doesn't want nearly as much money?
Oh, right.
I think it's important to know that like your mind, your ego, as that you've described before, will has a way of keeping you safe. Why would you ever want to leave? Look at this beautiful life you've created.
Right.
Why would you want to throw that all away just to go back to Kansas City? And I was like, oh, okay. And I just, at that point, I allowed myself to kind of let go of my routine. This is before I wrote my book, anything. It's kind of like working out. You're really good at it for, a couple of weeks. And then you're like, oh, it's Christmas. I'm just going to take a few weeks off, right? So it really, it kind of slowed me down a little bit. And I had to teach myself new techniques to, keep myself on that high vibrational state, which, if you work in a corporate world, you're going to have bad days. There are going to be people who irk you or things that don't go your way or just, projects that are, faltering. And so I think it's important to notice that it's not all rainbows and butterflies and things like that. It's that it's a trajectory. It's an up and down. It's not what do they call it? It's not a linear path. It's right over the board sometimes.
I know for me, when I started my journey and I learned about all of these principles too, I remember learning that all of the obstacles that you face are all designed to help you move forward in your path. And I remember when I learned that, it was like mind blowing. You have that perspective, right? That these obstacles are meant to help you grow, to help you expand, to help you get bigger. It makes them not so scary. I wonder if for you on your journey, Rachel, like you had this obstacle of like, oh, I need to take a step back and decide, do I really want to move to Kansas City or do I want to stay here? And maybe your ego is helping you to show you, like to say, no, you want to stay here. But your bigger, higher self is like, oh no, we're moving to Kansas City. We're making this happen, right? And then boom, you did it, right?
And it's like out of thin air. Yeah. I get a call. We will say yes to your salary requirements. And you know what? How about we give you 10 grand to move? And I was like, the universe provides. Let me tell you, that was nowhere on my vision board or on my list of intentions. It's just like, I think it's so fun. I love the term this or something better, where your feeble little mind can't even imagine what something better would be. And when you're on that path of just not having, it's hard. It's hard to train your mind to really say, what is this teaching me? What are this, this polarity creates, clarity. What is this craptastic day trying to tell me?
And that's where the faith comes in, right? That's where the faith comes in. That's where the having an open heart comes in and trusting the process, right? And knowing that, okay, this is craptastic, like you just said, but we're going to make the best of it and we're going to see where this takes me. Because ultimately it's taking me to where I'm meant to be.
And I think it makes those bad days not seem as bad, I remember my bad days before I found out about manifestation and, controlling my mindset. And I look back and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I look at, my bad days today and I can look at them and say, okay, what's the lesson here?
Right.
Why is everything happening? What is this teaching me? Is this telling
Mhm.
me, hey, you need to slow down? You've been doing a lot of hustling. Now it's time to flow a little bit.
Right.
It's so important to just acknowledge those things. And you mentioned something earlier about how personal manifestation is, but it's really learning about your own mind and what lights you up. Like, what lights me up is not going to be what lights up Allison Carver. Clearly, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it isn't just, I want $1 million and I want it now. I want a mansion and I want it now. I think that everybody's, ideals of what they're intending to manifest, like I said, so personal. It's so
Mhm.
heartfelt based upon, what stories you've overcome and, what was normal to you when you were growing up.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I picked the affirmation for today that I did, the whole, you are living your best life. Today, I am living my best life, right? Because that is possible. So whatever my best life looks like, whatever your best life looks like, we are in it. We are living it. It's possible and open and available to you. And that's what gets me so excited about manifesting. Like, yes, it's a process. Yes, it can be hard. Like, it takes time, right? But it's all designed to do that on purpose. And I just think that that is just so incredible that I trust this process. I go through it. I make it work for me. I'm intentional. And then I get to live my best life.
I agree. I completely agree. And just the opportunities. I think it was funny, right before we came on, we were talking about it's not a one person job, right? It
Mhm.
need other people to help out, to inspire you. You need to, there's a reason you saw a movie so you could be like, oh wow, I had no idea that was possible. Or, learning in the way that you learn to realize that others are put here to be part of your manifestation as well, and to be part of, you raising up others and just allowing yourself to be part of that. And that was something that I think at the beginning I thought, I need to keep this a secret. People will think
Mhm.
I'm weird. People will think I'm a
Yeah.
witch, or you know what I mean? And it's just,
Yeah.
I have loved the journey of demystifying, mindset, and really taking that, esoteric side out of it and really boiling it down to, no, this is your brain matter. Like, this is you reconditioning your
Right.
brain to cognitively decide, I would like to reach for a better thought in
Yeah.
this moment. And like you said, I choose to feel that I am living my best self right now, my best
Mhm.
self today.
Right. Right. And that perspective is everything, right? Having that thought in your mind can change everything.
It really, really can. Quickly too.
Yeah. So Rachel, tell me, what is something that you would share with somebody who's just starting out on the manifestation journey, right? Like, they're just tuning into it, they're just figuring it out. Like, how would you inspire them to keep going?
Honestly, I think what has helped me is to realize that you aren't meant to know everything right now. You aren't meant
Yes.
to know okay, well, I can't say this or I can't talk like this if I want to, manifest what I want. That is part of your journey. That is part of that timeline, that you're not getting what you want, so that you can learn, hey, I'm going to teach you this lesson and it might take a couple times. That
Mhm.
type of workplace is not what you're destined for. You can't
Mhm.
keep doing the 9 to 5 over and over, because you're just going to manifest the same type of anxieties. And so I think when anyone finds out about something new, what do? They immediately purge, read as many books as they can, get confused. I think there's a mode of like, okay, I can't, my brain is full. I can't jam anything else into there. And I think it's so important for people to go at your own pace. It doesn't mean that you can't be as successful as the person you put on a pedestal. It just means that you have to learn how to be the type of person who embodies that success.
Mhm.
If you're on your grandma's couch and you're frustrated because you can't get that $1 million, or you can't get that mansion right away, like, oh, you got to grow into that person, right?
Mhm.
Learn slowly, so that it's digesting. So it's not just like cramming for an exam, right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, could you imagine, like, if you look at the principles of the law of attraction, right, which is a huge component of manifestation, Can you imagine if every thought you had instantly came into reality?
Horrifying. Yeah.
Yikes.
No, because I mean, and I say it from a women's perspective because it is in our nature to overanalyze everything, to go to the darkest, like, oh my gosh, I hope this doesn't happen, or you know what I mean. And so
Mhm.
it's comforting to know and to learn that, okay, that is not how it works.
Right.
It is, if I can, maybe make it 60-40, I'm already better. And what I mean by that is like 60-40, 60 talking to yourself positively and maybe 40% of that over analyzing. I feel like that just builds momentum. I mean, don't you think so, Allison?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's meant to work on that compounding system, right? Where like over time, the more you add in, the more you add in, the more you add in, it tips, and then you get your manifestation. You know, it's funny, when you were talking, I was thinking about, you said woman's perspective. What first came to my mind was thinking about my husband, right? Like how I married my husband. Think about all of us, like we all wanted to probably marry our very first boyfriend, right?
Yes.
And I know for me, I am glad that didn't happen. I am glad that God had a bigger and better plan for me to marry my husband I have now.
Yes, like it's at this or something better.
Right.
Kind of chuckling at us like, yes, maybe this, but how about something better? And in our mind, and when I talk about like our feeble mind, I don't mean it as a derogatory sense. I mean, like at that point, that was the level of manifestation that we understood. We knew that we wanted to create our soulmate, and all we can see is just the here and now.
Right. And there's so much more, and there's so much available to us.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What is your perspective on the universe? Do you think that the universe is loving and guiding? I know there are a lot of people out there in the manifestation world that think that you are being punished, or that like the universe is trying to, like you said, teach you a lesson in a way that like keeps you small. Like, what's your perspective on that?
Well, I was raised Irish Catholic, and so I have actually done a lot of work through trying to make sense of all of this. Whether you're Catholic or not, you've heard of something called Catholic guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And really to completely embrace this journey of manifestation, I had to, really come to terms with that. I certainly haven't left behind my Catholic faith, but it has really grown into this ideology that the manifestation, the universe, like God, He doesn't want you to struggle. He just wants you to be able to be capable of living and, truly embracing that best life, that vision that you have for yourself. Like if you want a sports car, there are some things that you're going to have to learn before you know how to take care of that sports car. What if it's sick? I would probably drive that thing into the ground. You know what I mean? It's like,
me too.
I know that sounds so elementary, but it's like,
it's true.
You're going to have to learn a few things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give you your soulmate, you're going to have to go through some heartbreak. You're going to have to realize that there are a lot of fish in the sea, but realize that in a way that there's going to be some guys who maybe don't treat you so well, or maybe you don't have the types of conversations with that you're really hoping for. But to teach you that, I can't just tell you that you don't want a guy you can't talk to. You're going to have to date them, or you're going to have to, even live vicariously through your friends. Like you might see your friend go through a really bad relationship and realize, okay, that is not what I want to create.
Right.
Thank you. Note to self. But maybe in one way you thought you did. Like I know, maybe when I'm in high school, I think, oh, I want to date this really good looking guy. And then you date a good looking guy and he's a total jerk. You're like,
right. Yeah. And you're like, oh no, I don't want that.
And so
it gives you that perspective, right?
Yes. And so I just like to think of God and the universe as just like, I'm not trying to hold you down. I'm just trying to build you up bigger than you could have imagined. Yes. In order to do that, we got to learn a few things.
Yes, that's right. To get you to where you need to be. And that's what I feel like is so inspiring. No matter what you want to manifest, no matter what you want your life to look like, where you want it to go, you can get there. You just have to follow the path and take the cues and do the things.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is.
And I think that that's where people who don't know about mindset or maybe don't want to accept it as a lifestyle get stopped in their tracks. They only want to look at it as a very like black and white.
Right.
Well, I didn't grow up rich, so there's no way that I'll ever live in a mansion, or I'm not that smart, so there's no way I could possibly become a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And it's really just breaking those big goals. Like if you really want to become a lawyer, listen, there's a lot of different ways to get there, but
Mhm.
I know for a fact that Kim Kardashian was given a lot of crap for, wanting to become a lawyer, and here she is now. And it's just, there's no limit to what you can do when you take these small action steps.
That's right.
A lawyer tomorrow. Well, no, nobody's saying you could, but you could start investigating, what would I need? What would it take for me to start that journey? And it's that same type of mindset that, like you said, down, taking those little steps, those little action steps that get you closer to that big goal, that big manifestation that you're, looking at.
We talked about a lot of different things today. And I just, one of the big things that Rachel and I want you to know and to take home from this is that manifestation is possible for you. You can do this too. Sure, there might be some unlearning you need to do. Like we talked about, Rachel had to do some unlearning around her Catholic upbringing, but it's possible for you. You can do this. You can live your best life. It is possible. And one of the simplest ways to do that would be to grab a copy of your book, right? You outline exactly how to do this in 5 minutes a day. We covered a lot of things today, but I know for me, one of the big take-home points I want you to bring home is to remember that manifestation is possible for you, right? Like you can do this too. It's just a matter of getting started. I mean, sure, there might be some unlearning you need to do. Like Rachel said, she had to unlearn some of her Catholic upbringing. But it's possible, it's available, and you can do it. You just have to get started. And I feel like one of the easiest way to get started would be to grab a copy of your book, right? Because you outline exactly how to do this in 5 minutes a day.
Yes, absolutely. And the simplest way, like you said, to pick up my book, The Mind Hustle Journal. There is no experience needed. You don't have to have a background in manifestation. There is no learning or unlearning to do. I explain it all very quickly and to the point in my book. It is a 5-minute mindset to manifest your best life. Obviously, that's a daily practice, and I would love to give away a signed copy of my book. All you have to do is go to my Instagram account at Hustle versus Flow. That's Hustle VS Flow. Go ahead and comment on the picture of Allison and I promoting this amazing episode and just how much fun we're having.
Remember, if you want a chance to be entered in the contest for a free copy of Rachel's book, be sure to comment on our post and we will get you entered for the contest. Rachel, thank you so much for being here with us today and for being on the show. We would love to have you come back for another episode.
Oh my gosh, I had the most fun. It is always a joy having any kind of dialogue with you, Allison. And of course, I would welcome any opportunity to do it again.
Sounds good. Thanks again. Remember, today I am living my best life. I want you to take this message home with you and remember this all week. Today I am living my best life because this is possible for you. You can use your superpower of manifesting to manifest your best life. You just have to be intentional and start doing it. I want you to know that you can do this. It is possible and it's available to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure to join me next week when I interview my guest, Michelle Braswell. I can't wait for you to tune in and hear all of the amazing and inspiring stories she shares with you. Tune in to the Manifestation Society with Allison Carver every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. See you next week.